Hi and welcome back. So in the previous video we looked at the short run effect of the change in money growth on output, nominal and real interest rate in the short run. So in this video we are going to look at what happens to output, nominal and real interest rate in the medium run when the central bank increases the rate of money growth permanently. So to answer this question, we can rely on two of the central propositions we derived in the previous chapters, in chapter 10 to 13, as well as one that we derived in macroeconomics 2 in chapter 8. So in the medium run, the first proposition is that in the medium run, output returns to the natural level of output, Yn. So Yn represents the natural level of output. So this is quite a straightforward implication for what happens to the real interest rate. So to see why, let's return back to our IS relation. So one way of thinking about the IS relation is that it tells us for a given value of government spending and taxation, that is for a given value of G and T, what real interest rate is needed to sustain a given level of spending, and so a given level of output, Y. So if, for example, output is equals to the natural level of output, that is if Y is equals to Yn, then for given values of government spending and taxation, the real interest rate must be such that it is also seen as natural as well. And since we use the word natural to denote the level of output in the medium run, it is also fair to similarly call the value of the real interest rate at that state, or rather the real interest rate that prevails when the economy is at its natural level, a natural real interest rate, and denote it using Rn. And now that the natural level of, or rather the real interest rate is equals to this natural level, it will be fair then to conclude that our earlier proposition that in the medium run, output returns to its natural level has a direct implication for real interest rate. And that implication is that in the medium run, the real interest rate returns to its natural interest rate as well. And it is independent of the rate of money growth. The second proposition is that in the medium run, the rate of inflation is equals to the rate of money growth. And that would mean inflation is equals to money growth. And this is what we covered in macroeconomics 2. I think it's chapter 8, 8.2 to be precise. So this proposition as well as proposition 1 have a straightforward implication for what happens to the nominal interest rate in the medium run. So to see why, recall that the relation between nominal interest rate and the real interest rate is given by this equation here, such that real interest rate is equals to nominal interest rate minus expected inflation. So we saw that in the medium run, the real interest rate is equals to the natural real interest rate. So also in the medium run, expected inflation is equals to actual inflation. And the justification of this is that people cannot have incorrect expectations of inflation forever. So it follows that our equation is given by nominal interest rate is equals to the natural rate of real interest rate minus actual inflation. So now, because inflation is equals to money growth, as we've shown here, in the medium run, nominal interest rate here is equals to the natural level of real interest rate minus money growth. So now this new equation tells us that in the medium run, the nominal interest rate is equals to the natural real interest rate plus the rate of money growth. So in the medium run, an increase in money growth leads to an equal increase in the nominal interest rate because of this relation. So if money growth increases, it impacts nominal interest rate positively. So let's summarize on this. So the summary we can draw from this is that in the medium run, money growth does not affect the real interest rate, but affects both inflation and nominal interest rate one for one. How this happens is that a permanent increase in nominal money growth of about 10% is eventually reflected in a 10% increase in the inflation rate and a 10% increase in the nominal interest rate, leaving the real interest rate unchanged. This result is known as the Fisher effect or the Fisher hypothesis, which states that in the medium run, the nominal interest rate increases one for one with inflation. And the adjustment of the real and nominal interest rate to the increase in money growth between the short and the medium run can be shown in this figure here, figure 14.5. So figure 14.5 shows the adjustment over time of the real interest rate and nominal interest rate to an increase in nominal money growth from 0% to 10%, for instance, starting from the time t here. So before time t, both interest rates are constant and equal to each other. As you can see, they are constant and equal to each other, suggesting that nominal interest rate is equals to Rn and real interest rate is also equals to Rn. So as inflation and expected inflation are equals to 0. So at time t here, the rate of money growth increases from 0 to 10%, shown by the spike here, to 10%. So the increase in the rate of nominal money growth leads for some time to an increase in the real money stock and to a decrease in nominal interest rate. So as expected inflation increases, the decrease in the real interest rate is larger than the decrease in the nominal interest rate. This is shown by the rapid decline of the real interest rate and the partial decline in nominal interest rate. So eventually the nominal interest rate and the real interest rate start increasing at some point, as you can see, but the increase of the nominal interest rate is higher than that of real interest rate. So in the medium run, the real interest rate returns to its initial value, represented here. At the same time, inflation and expected inflation converge to the new rate of money growth. In this case, 10% as well. So the result is that the nominal interest rate rises to a value equal to the real interest rate of plus 10% at that point. And finally, the adjustment is complete. Okay, so we're done with the second and third session of our chapter. So in the next video, we will look at we turn to the second key concept introduced in the beginning of the chapter, and that is the concept of expected present discounted value. All right.